Next up, we have Andrew Spark. He is the Executive Chairman of Q Mines, which are listing next week. This is really exciting. None of you will have heard about this one. Andrew Spark, over to you. This is a great project that you have.
Yeah, hi, Kerry. Thanks for having me. It really is. So Q Mines, I'll give you a quick bit of background. Q Mines is a Queensland exploration and development company. And really the aim of the business is to become Australia's first zero carbon copper and gold developer. We've got 4 advanced projects, just under 1,000 square k's.
Hang on a second, Andrew. What do you mean by how do you become Australia's first zero carbon copper and gold developer? It's mining. That takes up a lot of.
It does. So we actually we've just recently exchanged on some ground up around this mine. So we'd actually not only own the mineral rights but also the land rights. And as part of that acquisition, we're acquiring 130 square k's of ground and a house, and effectively this house that we're buying is already completely off the grid. So it'll come with just under 50 solar panels and a wind turbine, funnily enough, and it's very self-sufficient. So it's a big part of our strategy here to try and explore for more copper and gold mineralisation in a very sustainable way, and that's been this acquisition is really critical to making sure that our team is housed and is operating out of a zero carbon facility up there. So as well as a number of other initiatives we're doing. So yeah, a little bit different, but quite exciting. So
very timely.
Yeah, that's right. So we've also, as I mentioned at the start, we've got 4 advanced projects, 2 of which have actually seen historic copper, high-grade copper mineral production. Our flagship project is just out of Rockhampton. It's called Mount Chalmers, and it was a historic high-grade, copper and gold producer. As you can see here, it produced 1.24 million tonnes of ore. I know this is a little technical, but at 2% copper and 3.6 grams gold, but effectively that means that it's quite a high grade deposit. And I think bodes really well for, making new high grade discoveries as we go. Since we've actually acquired this asset, we've digitized about 50,000 meters of drilling. So that's to put it in layman's terms, that's about 50 kilometers of diamond and RC drilling. So we've got lots of great data here that really, I suppose, puts us in a great position to make new discoveries and whatnot, which is fantastic. So,
Andrew, you're sorry to interrupt you, but you're listing next week, aren't you? So people, is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or you're not quite sure yet?
Yeah, at this stage it's subject to the ASX. They've got a lot of IPOs in the pipeline, but it looks like we'll probably be listing midweek next week, which is really exciting. It's been a 9-month journey, so it's been lots of work, and we've got a great team here that have been working really diligently getting ready. But we've had a very successful IPO. We've done our capital raise, which was well oversubscribed. So we've raised north of $12 million. But
wow.
We've actually scaled it back, so we'll end up taking about 11.6, which is great. So we're well oversubscribed and got plenty of cash to really go and deliver this exploration program over the next sort of 18, 24 months. So
yeah. And the reason I wanted to just bring that up is if people are watching this right now and then they go and look at ASX QML, then they're not yet. It's Thursday today. They're not yet on, but they will be. Hopefully mid next week. So keep your eye out, but it's brand new. And as Andrew said, they're fully funded. They've raised the money. So it sounds pretty exciting. So sorry, Andrew, over to you.
No, it is. And just sort of recapping. So we've got a very large, digital database, and that has actually allowed us to publish a maiden JORC resource, which is, for everyone who's sort of not technical, a JORC resource is basically the standard by which we report how much copper and gold we have at the historic mine here at Mount Chalmers. And so we've got about 4 million tonnes at quite a high grade, about 1.15% copper and about 0.8 grams gold, and there'll be some silver and zinc and lead credits. So but really that sets us up with a really good platform. So we're not, just an explorer with no resources. Already a lot of, copper and gold here under the 2 existing open pits. and our plan is to go and complete quite a large exploration program and try and define more over the next 18 to 24 months. So yeah, fun times ahead. Okay, so on the next page, this really starts to look at the digital database that I talked about. So this is our tenure here in the dotted line and also the solid line. So the dotted lines basically mean that we've applied for those tenements, but as of yet, they're not yet granted. We expect they will be granted, but just to give you a sense. So we're already growing the package, which is great after doing quite an extensive technical review on this area. But as you can see here, VMS deposits occur in clusters, and they typically occur in clusters of between 5 and 40. So with VMS deposits, you normally see lots of deposits that combine to create a lot of tonnage, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. So what I'm showing you here with the is effectively our flagship project, Mount Chalmers, and in the middle there you can see the Mount Chalmers pit, which has two of these deposits, the West Lode and the Main Lode. But also what this is showing is that there are a number of other deposits that are outside the existing resource that really, I think, from our perspective, are really exciting because they show that there's a lot more, copper and gold mineralization here that isn't currently in the resource, and really, I suppose, allows new investors the leverage to grow a growing resource and therefore, increase value once we start that exploration program. So yeah, really exciting project, this one. There's 12. We've got 12 priority drilling targets that we've identified that we want to go and start putting holes into. But also there's 3 what we call exploration targets, which we expect we'll be able to convert to resource shortly after listing. So yeah, a lot to do over the next 18, 24 months.
Andrew, it looks, because you are actually in an area which is surrounded by mines. You've got Gympie, you've got Mount Rawdon, etc. Like there's 4 or 5 mines around you, so it's clearly a well-defined area for copper gold discoveries. What I want to know, and I'm sure our viewers do as well, is how did Q Mines, little unlisted company, how come you got it and nobody else managed to get their hands on it?
Yeah, good question. We bought it off another company with some really nice technical guys that have been trying to get this particular deposit or these projects listed for some time. We built a great relationship with them over a number of years, and one of our directors was actually also a shareholder in that private company. So our director Dan Lansky, who's actually our managing director, he introduced me to this particular group, and I think it's fair to say that we've ever since we've had a good working relationship, and they saw the value in ultimately inventing it into Q Mines, and it needed capital to really progress. So we've sort of worked quite closely with them to put the deal together, which we completed last year, and the great thing is that these guys are going to continue with us, and are going to help us with our exploration effort. But also, they're large shareholders in the business, which is great. So they're going to get the benefits of a lot of the investment that's going into these projects. So
okay, so they'll stay on more in a technical capacity. That's what they're good at, the technical side of things. But they haven't walked, and they also haven't walked away from ownership. So they still have some ownership, so some input there as well.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to become, I suppose, large shareholders in Q Mines, which is great. So they've really got that leverage to exploration success, and they've also got a lot of great technical knowledge about the assets, having worked on them for 4 years themselves. So we wanted to make sure that any deal we did with them was a win-win, so that them and their shareholders could come along for the ride and be part of the journey to unlock the value here at Mount Chalmers and the other projects. So it's quite exciting. So
one last question. Since you did that deal, you said earlier that you've got some tenements waiting to be granted. So have you expanded on that area? So they had a certain amount of tenements under their control, and you said, we can see this trend, let's go after some more.
Yeah, that's right. We completed quite a large technical review on these assets, and particularly at Mount Chalmers. But you can see here the dotted lines are new areas that we've applied for with the Queensland Mines Department, and we expect those to be granted in the short term. But I think what we're seeing is that VMS deposits, as I said before, occur in clusters, and we believe there's a lot more to go here. So we're starting to expand the tenement package. We're going to really accelerate the drilling plan, and we're actually also planning to fly quite a large, magnetic survey over this whole area. A lot of people that are in the game will understand that. VMS deposits, particularly massive sulfide deposits, really light up with magnetics. So
I'm going to stop you for 1 minute. If you can explain to those people that are not technical a VMS deposit and why it's interesting.
Yeah, okay. VMS deposits, typically, as I say, they occur in clusters. They're generally high grade. It's unusual to see a VMS deposit with this high gold grade. But also, in terms of tons, they're typically, I think on average, they're about 17 million tons. So we're currently at about 4 million tons. So, we really think this asset has a lot of growth potential. But also, to answer your question in a different way, there's another deposit down the road called Mount Morgans.
Yep.
Which many of your viewers who are technical might know that it was a very large copper and gold mine that mined up until the early 80s, and it was about 8 million ounces of gold or produced about 8 million ounces of gold and just under 400,000 tons of copper, which effectively means it was very large.
Yeah.
But we're at 4 million tons at the moment, so I think that shows that there's a lot of growth potential here. And we're in a really fertile region that's got a lot of big, similar VMS deposits that are of a lot larger scale. So, that's what I suppose gets us our blood boiling. We're really excited about getting out here and seeing how big we can grow this deposit. So,
okay,
yeah,
nice,
yeah. So, and just to give you a bit of the highlight section, and I'll try and keep it really simple for those who aren't technical, but. You can see here that on the section on the left, we've actually, there's been a lot of historic drilling under, the 2 open pits here. So this is one area called the Mount Chalmers West Lode, and the water area on top here is obviously the historic open pit. And what you're seeing here, effectively, to simplify it, is some near surface mineralisation, which effectively means that it'll be easier to mine. It's close to surface and will incur less cost to mine. But also it's very, very high grade mineralisation. So we're seeing high grade copper and high grade gold here just under the existing pits. So these historic intersections basically occur under the 2 historic pits. But as I showed previously, there are a lot of other areas that we'd like to go and drill as well, which we think will add to the resource as we get going. So yeah, a lot to go and do. And then to delve into that a little more, on page 5 here, you can see the planned drilling program. So on the left-hand side, you can see the 2 open pits, the West Lode and the Main Lode. And the light-coloured holes are actually historic holes, drill holes. And the new red holes are the planned drilling drill holes. So I'm pleased to say we've actually just completed a diamond drilling program just last week. Up at Mount Chalmers, and that consisted, as you can see here, of about 10 holes. We actually extended it for a further 2 holes because we liked what we saw, and we'll have some more information out on that shortly once we list next week. But really the aim of this program was to look further down plunge and along strike and see if we could extend the resource, but also increase the confidence in that resource. So to explain that a little further, the more drill holes you have in a resource, the higher the confidence level you have, and therefore you can report at a higher what we call JORC code, which is a standard by which we report in the mining industry. So we expect out of that program we'll have some really hopefully some good intersections, through the historic ore bodies here under the 2 pits. But also we can have a bit of a sneak peek below the pits and along strike of the pits and see if we can extend that ore envelope. And then on the right-hand side here, you can see the planned RC drilling program, which is really about chasing the volume of this deposit. So you can see from the darker coloured holes here, we're looking to extend the mineralisation from the two pits north and along strike of the two ore bodies. But you can also see that there are three areas here that have already been drilled that are showing up some copper and gold mineralisation, which points to the fact that we think there's a lot more to go here and a lot more resources to add. So one of them is called Mount Warminster, another one's called Botos and Woodshaft, and they're all nearby the existing mine, and also that I think they demonstrate that we are going to be able to grow this resource quite quickly and cost effectively after we list. So yeah, so lots of good stuff on the horizon. So that's pretty much it, Kara. That's the highlights package.
Well, that's really quite fascinating. At what size is the area that you're looking at? I'm just a bit curious, because you can never understand it from when you see maps like what you just showed us.
It's so this area is about just under 200 square k's of ground, although our 10-year package currently across all 4 projects is about 1,000 square k's. I will say that we are looking at the moment to how we can grow that from all the work we've been doing, but it's a really large package to kick off with, which is great.
Okay, so so you're going to be listing next week. Obviously, people can't buy until it's come onto the market. Yep. Why do you think now, after you list, there's still value for new investors coming on?
Yeah, I think what I demonstrated before is that we expect this resource is going to grow, and a growing resource effectively means growing value for new shareholders. So we really believe that that what we've got is really only a starting point. So our plan is to go and drill obviously a very large or roll out a very large exploration program of between 32,000 meters of drilling and 62,000 meters.
Wow.
So, again, that's between 32 kilometres and 62 kilometres worth of drilling for those who to make it to simplify it. So it's a very large drilling program, and I think it provides new shareholders with a lot of leverage to that exploration success. So lots of news flow and those sort of things. But the other thing I think that new shareholders should really think about here is that there's, from all my time working in the capital markets and running the resources fund and whatnot, we always found it really hard to play copper on the ASX, and it's when you look at it, it makes sense that there's at any given time there's about 200 to 300 gold stocks around, but up until we saw some recent strength in the copper price, we only had about 16 companies listed on the ASX with exposure to copper.
Oh.
So we're really in this nice sweet spot where there's this scarcity factor in copper that you just don't see in a lot of other commodities. And so with the growing copper price and all that leverage, all that exploration drilling, and also the fact that we're one of a very small number of quality copper stocks that are we're working towards a development ready opportunity is, I think, really exciting. I think is going to add a lot of value for our shareholders or new shareholders as we get going. So yeah, so lots to deliver yet, but I think that's going to bode well for the future.
Well, also a lot of work done. I also noted that the previous pits where the mining was done obviously need to be dewatered. Is that one of the first things that you'll be doing once you've listed? What's the next steps? What's the news flow?
Yeah, good question. So obviously we've as disclosed in our prospectus, we have a land acquisition we'd like to make, and that will allow us to really, cement our zero carbon strategy. So that's something to look forward to once we hit the boards. We've obviously recently completed our maiden diamond drilling program. So those assays are going to the labs as we speak. And if you look at those sections before or on our website, you'll see there's some very high grade mineralisation under those existing pits. So we think that'll be good news flow once we list. But in terms of the water in the pits, the great thing is, being an exploration company, we don't really need to remove it at this point. We can drill around the pits, to get access to that ore body. But really, what we're going to go after here is after new mineralised areas. So yes, there'll be a lot of drilling around the pits, but there'll also be a large amount of drilling in the number of new areas that we've talked about in the prospectus. So there's lots to come.
Lots to come. And we've run out of time. So Andrew Spark, Executive Chairman of QMines, thanks so much for joining us at the Virtual Gold Conference.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time.
Good luck.
Bye.
ABC Bullion, the Australian bullion company. Trading since 1972, ABC Bullion is Australia's largest independent bullion dealer and precious metals depository. Fully insured and verified by independent audit. ABC Bullion offers a range of proprietary investment products and storage solutions and Australia's first gold and silver accumulation plan. ABC Bullion.